All right, let's talk about something that affects pretty much all of us, learning at work. There's a huge shift happening right now, and it's basically making traditional corporate training a thing of the past. What's taking its place could completely change how we do our jobs and even how we build our careers. So, what does this new world of learning actually look like?
You know the feeling, right? You're stuck in a conference room all day, or you're clicking through some endless online course while your real work is just piling up. You're trying your best to pay attention, but there's that little voice in the back of your head asking, am I going to remember any of this next week?
Well, it turns out that feeling is spot on. There's this thing in psychology called the forgetting curve, and it is brutal. It basically says that if you don't use new information right away, you can forget up to 90% of it in just a month. Poof, all that time and effort just gone.
So, because of that, we're seeing this massive shift away from those one-off training events and towards something totally different, a new model of continuous learning that's actually woven right into our daily jobs. This isn't just a little update, it's a complete rethink of how we get better at what we do. So, let's dig into exactly why that old model is so broken. We can call it the training trap, and honestly, it's become a huge roadblock for people and companies trying to grow in today's world.
I mean, when you look at the issues, it's so obvious. The average person has only about 30 minutes a week to dedicate to learning. 30 minutes. How much can you really absorb? You combine that tiny window with the forgetting curve, add in some generic one-size-fits-all content, and top it off by pulling people away from their actual jobs, you've basically designed a system that's built to fail.
And the stakes here are unbelievably high. This isn't just about wasting a few hours anymore. It turns out that a lack of development opportunities is now the #1 reason people pack up and leave their jobs. That's right, it's even ahead of salary. So if companies get this wrong, they're not just failing to train their employees, they're failing to keep them.
Okay, so if the old way is a trap, how do we get out? Well, luckily, there's a much smarter way to learn that's changing the whole game.
It's this idea called learning in the flow of work, and it's actually pretty simple, but it's also profound. Instead of stopping your work to go learn, you learn while you work. It's all about getting the exact piece of information you need right at the moment you need it, without ever having to step away. Suddenly, that line between working and learning just starts to dissolve.
So what does this look like in real life? It's super simple. Imagine you're trying to use a new feature in a program. Instead of signing up for a training class next month, you just hit a roadblock, you whip out your phone, find a quick 2-minute tutorial and use it right then and there to solve your problem. And just like that, you've learned something new and you never even broke your stride.
And when companies really embrace this, oh man, the results are powerful. Let's take a look at the huge payoffs this brings, not just for the business, but for you, the employee.
It really is a game changer. Since you're learning and then immediately applying the knowledge, you actually remember it. Your productivity shoots up because you're not getting stuck. You're way more engaged because the learning actually helps you. And for the company, they're closing skill gaps faster. And here's the big one, they're actually keeping their best people around.
And look, this isn't just some fancy theory. Check out this real-world story. A big retailer needed to improve safety at its warehouses. But instead of some long, boring seminar, they rolled out these daily micro-learning games on their employees' devices. The result was absolutely stunning. The company saw a more than 50% drop in safety incidents. Just let that sink in for a second. They cut workplace accidents in half. That's a massive deal, not just for the company's numbers, but for the actual health and safety of their people. And here is the absolute kicker. They achieved this with little training sessions that took just 3 to 5 minutes a day. That's it. Tiny, consistent learning moments led to a dramatic, life-changing result. That, right there, is the power of this model.
So, this all sounds great, but how is it possible to do this across a whole company? What's the key technology that makes it all work, that basically puts a classroom right in your pocket?
Well, the secret ingredient is probably in your hand or on the desk next to you right now. Yep, it's the smartphone. Mobile technology is the engine that makes learning in the flow of work a practical reality for everyone, no matter where they are.
And the numbers on this are just incredible. One study found that employees who do most of their training on their phones see a productivity boost of over 40% compared to old school methods. That's not just a small bump, that's a huge measurable impact.
You know, your phone kind of has these learning superpowers. It gives you on-demand access anywhere, anytime. It's perfect for the short, bite-sized videos and quizzes that our brains love. You can get timely little reminders through push notifications, and this is so important, it reaches everyone, especially the 80% of workers around the world who aren't sitting at a desk all day.
Okay, so the idea is powerful, and the tech is already in our hands. How do you actually make it happen? Well, the final piece of the puzzle isn't about a new app. It's about culture. It's about turning this into a real sustainable learning habit for the entire organization.
It really comes down to 3 key things. First, you need a culture where leaders encourage you to take 5 minutes to look something up. It's seen as being smart, not slacking. Second, you have to build a great library of on-demand videos and guides that are super easy to find when you need them. And third, you've got to bring that learning into the tools people already use every day, like Slack or Microsoft Teams, so it's always just a click away.
And make no mistake, this isn't some passing fad. As the well-known expert Josh Bersin puts it, this is nothing less than a new paradigm for corporate training. We are watching a fundamental change in how we all grow and develop professionally. So what it all means is that learning is no longer a destination. It's not a place you go to anymore. It's becoming a constant companion, something that travels with you all day long. So the big question to leave you with is this: in this new world of work, is your workday also becoming your classroom?